Welcome to the Seawall podcast. I'm your host, Matt Courtwright, and I'm with Ron Lee with Rugby Washington.
Yes, correct. Thank you.
He's the president.
The one and only.
Yeah, does cartwheels backwards even. For the coaches that really like him.
Not many of them.
That was the catch, though. They had to like him. Oh, man. So, what do you want to talk about?
Where do you want to start?
Well, let's go with how did you get into rugby?
Yeah, so I started back a long time ago. My brother played in high school.
Okay. Who did he play for?
The Kent Crusaders.
Who?
Shout out. So I watched him in high school, and then I fell in love with it, and then I played in high school after that, and then ever since then, haven't stopped.
Who was your coach in high school?
Rick Rafston, Red Snores.
Okay. And when you went to college, who was your coach there?
Bob Ford over at Central Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Played over there for 5 years. Graduated, and then came back over here to Western Washington.
And where did you meet your wife?
At college. So I played over there, and she played for the women's team at the same time. Match made in heaven.
They're proving it too.
Yeah. We've been together now. We've been married now for 10 years this year.
Man.
Time
That's
flies.
Killer, actually.
Yeah.
It's been 10 years already.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, the way we met each other was he was coaching for Kent Crusaders.
Yep.
And my kid fell in love with the game in 2016. And you was the man. You and
Jeremy Torres.
Jeremy, yeah. Nickname my kid Top Knot is what I remember the most out of Jeremy.
He had a really ugly haircut.
Yeah, and he even would color it colors and stuff too. Yeah.
That was kind of the style back in the day, but man, that was ugly.
Well, it's even better because Damien's behind the scenes, behind the camera, and he's trying not to laugh out loud. It's what's happening right now. So it's gold.
Yeah.
So, let's see. Who is someone in this rugby community that you look up to?
Yeah, I've been fortunate. I've had a lot of good coaches, a lot of good mentors throughout my years, whether that's Rick Rafston, Red Snores, kind of through high school. Bob Ford in college, of course, he really helped pave the road for them to become a varsity program. Kevin Flynn with Seattle. I think Kevin Flynn is one of the top guys in rugby, not only in Washington, but probably in the country.
Yeah.
With his connections and what he's trying to achieve, it is second to none. So
it's funny, his name comes up a lot on this podcast.
Yeah, as it probably should.
Not to. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't agree more. Like it's a guy that any of us that's been around rugby in Washington State for more than a handful of years, we all know like that family's iconic. Between him and Jenny, they really make shit happen.
They run a lot of stuff and they get a lot of stuff done.
Yeah, they're not just the talk, they're the walk.
Yep.
Yeah, couldn't agree
sure.
more. Shout out Flinnies. Oh, man. So, tell me about what's your responsibilities?
Yeah, so as current Rugby Washington president, so Rugby Washington is the governing body for Washington State Youth Rugby, so that's ages 8 to 18.
Okay.
And we ensure that players get to play, that those fields and games and referees and coaches and compliance and all of that good stuff with USA Rugby. So we cover everything from coach compliance certification to referee assignment with the help of the Referee Society, and then also development with coaches, players, and hopefully referees as well.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
Yeah.
Yep.
So who do you work with over at the Referee Society?
Yeah, so each state has its allocator. So Eric Fleming is our allocator for Washington State. So he helps allocate all the referees for all of the high school U14 and U12 games. So it's no small job trying to coordinate kickoff times, locations, referee assignments.
Yeah.
With a very short timeline.
I just giggled because of the lack of organization that's been stereotypically in our rugby community in the past.
Yeah. So it's challenging at times. No fault of anyone's. Just trying to coordinate all of, there's 21 clubs in Washington State.
Incredible.
Each club usually has multiple teams. So whether that's high school girls, U14, U12. So trying to coordinate multiple kickoff times with multiple clubs, multiple fields is challenging, especially for all volunteer coaches, allocators, presidents.
And all those different communication skills.
Yes.
Or some don't have as many.
Yeah. So some, whether that's phone calls, text messages, emails, pigeons, whatever it might be, it's difficult at times, but plow through.
No, you do a good job.
Thanks.
You're a patient man. Way nicer than me.
Sometimes. Those days.
Oh, yeah, I know. I love it.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of times where, one particular where you were like, bro, nobody's answering the email when you first took over.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody's thinking it's the same thing, just another person at the wheel. And he's like, Matt, will you do me a favor, dude? Will you call a couple people and ask them if they'll respond back to the email? I was like, oh my God, yes, give me their number. I'll kill them with kindness. And it was pretty much like somebody had to make sure people were doing stuff and getting the ball moving. And it sounds like it's been really good ever since, honestly.
It has. So I took over in 2020. So COVID was challenging. Moving on from COVID. We can spend hours talking about that in itself. But moving on, since 2020, we've grown. So we're now, like I said, at 21 clubs, including Eastern Washington, and about 1,400 players.
That's a lot of players.
It's a lot of players. So when I took over, granted it was COVID, we had about 800. So yeah, we grow about 10% each year, which is great.
Yeah, that's good growth, honestly.
It's really good growth. Clubs are putting in a lot of work with recruitment and retention and kind of coaching resources and opportunities. So yeah, we have a lot of potential.
That's good to hear, man.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of growing to do in the next handful of years.
We have a lot of growing to do. A lot of growing. There's a lot of potential throughout the state in a lot of communities. So it's just finding people is the most difficult part. Finding adults that are willing to take on that load. It's not an easy load, but taking on that load of helping the next generation is challenging for sure. So finding those right type of people is kind of the next step in order for a growth progression.
Right, the people that are actually going to help when they volunteer and not,
flake out.
Yeah. Flake out. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I like how you cut it.
Yeah. So it's about if people are interested in helping out and growing, it's making sure that they understand the standard and expectations from them early on, so that when they do come on board, they know what to expect, right? Instead of trying to being like, yeah, this sounds great, and then halfway down the road, they're like, whoa, this isn't for me. So we try and lay out those expectations a little bit earlier on so that they know what to expect. You never know what's going to happen. It's tough. Like, you can't foresee the future.
No.
Right? So it's like,
I do know that my health now is getting better.
Yeah.
I do want to try to get back on that whole Chris Neesmith and us all talking about that. What's changed in that area?
Yeah, I mean, not much. Like, I mean, I talk with Chris pretty frequently, but it's all about like player development, coach development, right? So there's two aspects of it, right? So there's
we can just pick up on this, can't we? Now that I think about it, like we're rolling.
Yeah. So there's the off-field aspect, right? And that's kind of what we touched on about bringing new people in, trying to grow the sport in new coaches, new areas, and whatnot. And then there's also the on-field, right? So once those players and coaches come part of Rugby Washington in a sense, then it's what's the next level, and that's the player development, coach development, right? So for coach development, they really have to be educated on how to coach, not only the X's and O's of how to play rugby, but also how to be a good coach, how to relate to the player, how to make that connection so that the player comes back the following year, right? And that's a big piece of it, especially at the U12 and U14 level. And
that's where the retainment is harder than ever, isn't it?
Yep.
Because I remember hearing that's also true in soccer.
Yeah, so that's the biggest drop off is from U14 to high school for all sports, and then from U12 to U14 with youth soccer, it's really big as well.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So our retention isn't necessarily the best with rugby, so that's. A lot of people come out and try it for a year, and they're like, either, I love this, or this isn't for me, which is fine.
Yeah.
Rugby isn't.
They tried it. That's the biggest deal.
Right? And as the hope is that at least they fell in love with it, and then we'll go to a Seawall's match, go to a Seattle match, watch the World Cup, whatever it might be.
Right.
But then also trying to get those players to retain, right? If they come back another year, now how can we make them better? Right, because the end goal would be when they graduate high school, that they then continue playing, whether that's at college or adult, and then that goes into the player development cycle of things to USA Rugby, hopefully, to improve USA Rugby.
Want to expand on that at all?
So we'll start small. So U12, U14, right? So it's all about getting the players in, having fun, learning the sport, how to catch, pass, tackle. And it's all based on, studies from other countries and whatnot about smaller, small-sided games and more touches for the players, more tries. Right?
Are you talking more like the U10, U12 era?
Yeah, U10, U12.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Where we had talked about in our area, a lot of the clubs are not creating multiple teams on their club, so that way the kids can play and get more touches.
Yeah, and it's tough because some clubs can have multiple sides. In a sense, if we're playing 7s or 10s, they do have 2 7 sides or 2 10 sides.
Right.
And then some clubs have just enough players to fulfill one side.
Right.
Right? Because that's all they have.
Yeah, and we'll take whatever we can work with.
For sure. Yep. So it's definitely an added challenge, trying to play that dynamic of some teams with multiple and some teams with one. So we try and make it work for everyone. But that all goes back to the communication up front.
Right. Right. I know that Rainier was trying to get U12s and U10s up in the Bonnie Lake, Sumner Highway area, real close to where we're at. And any idea how that's been going? Yeah,
they're putting some work in up there. A lot of recruitment. I think they have a U12 side this year.
Oh, good.
So... they kind of forward in with the Rainier South. Yeah. There's a Rainier South and a Rainier North.
I want to say it's Rich Lehman.
Yep.
Yeah.
Rich is doing some good work.
Yeah,
and which is cool. Alan Blattstock.
Oh my gosh, it is Alan's back. Okay, cool. Alan was with us in Kent. That's awesome.
Yep. So he's coaching the U14s and helping out as well. So I'm happy that he's back. He's been out of the game for a few years.
So, since 2016, I think was his last year. maybe the beginning of 17. He was really notorious for teaching the Rugby 101 to all the parents when they would go.
He was very good with that. Yep.
He was, taught me a lot. I know that.
Yeah. So he's helping out with the U14s and U12s down there, and
that's
helping
gold.
out a lot. So it's great to have him back. And Rich is doing a great job as well with the U12s there. So
that's so good.
So it's just another potential spot because there's so many players down there.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to get them up and running.
Well, in this area too, like I'm always like plugging Rugby, of course, and like now that we have a closer place, because I mean that's a lot of distance too. Like like a high school team, there's really the closest practice is Auburn from here, which is right near.
It is, and that's what it's tough when we talk about recruitment, and kind of what the Seawolves help with and trying to grow the sport. Right? Is we have to be aware of where we go to recruit because of where the closest club is.
Yeah.
Right? So it's very challenging to go to a spot and say, hey, come play rugby, but you have to drive 30 to 40 minutes to practice.
Yeah.
That isn't reasonable for a lot of people.
Right.
So we have to be really aware of that when we go into certain schools or areas and try and grow, the established clubs, right? But then also be aware of where new clubs can pop up with resources of people that are willing to help support.
Yeah, good one is Federal Warriors.
Yeah.
Sonny's done a really good job with that.
He's done really good.
Can't say enough good about it.
Yeah. Federal Way has grown a lot over the past. I think they started 2 years ago. And
that sounds about right.
Yeah, they started with, I want to say, U10, U12, and a little bit of U14. And now they have a full-fledged U14. U8s, U10s are really strong. And they started with a women's program as well this past year.
That's gold.
So, yeah, and we're expecting them to have a high school girls as well starting in the fall.
Matter of fact, Levon did a brief interview with the girls' team with our podcast.
Oh, Federal Way.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, no, we're supporters, bro. I love it.
Yeah.
Sonny actually came out to Rainier originally, and I got to interview him with the Tim Metcher at a pub. He had no idea it was Tim Metcher. Tim's there with like this just thrown on shirt, looking like he was just painting a house or something.
Yeah.
And then Tim starts. I told Tim, like, I want to interview some of these coaches that are around our youth. I don't think we do enough of that, and I protect our youth kind of thing. And Tim's like, yeah, I'd love to be a part of that. It sounds like a good time to me, buddy. So Tim and I met up, and then Sonny came in, and we didn't grill him or anything. We just kind of wanted to get to know the guy. So it was kind of cool. And then I was like, Sonny, you know who that is? He's like, he looks familiar. Like, and then I told him, he's kind of like, it was like, yeah, like kind of cool. I got to meet a big dog,
Yeah, that's great. It's great.
Yeah. No, and Sonny's just pretty much ever since then, he's just really just grabbed and gone.
Yeah, he is. The Federal Way has really grown, and not only Sonny, but a lot of the there's a lot of coaches out there that are putting in a lot of good work.
Yeah, William, if I remember right, he's helping, right? He used to be a Seawolf.
Yeah, Mona.
Oh,
Mona used to coach with me at Canton as well.
Mona, I got a soft spot for Mona, dude.
Yeah.
That guy's he's such a kind human being.
Yes.
I cannot say enough good about that guy.
Yeah, so he's helping out U10s and U8s.
Okay.
Which is why they have so many kids.
Yeah,
he's
dude.
a great coach.
He's likable. He's magnetic. You don't, like, the person wants to be in his company.
He is, yeah. You see him at the Seawall games too, don't you?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And he's like, he actually walked me in my seat twice now.
Nice.
Yeah. He's like, no, okay, you guys got it. I'm taking Matt to his seat. And like, okay, let's go.
Yeah.
I get a chance to hang out with my buddy for 2 seconds. I'm taking it.
Great guy.
Yeah, he used to. I remember when I first met him, he was helping with the toddlers, like super young kids.
Yep.
Like, wow, that takes patience within, like, beyond measure. My God, hats off, brother.
Yeah. Herding cats.
Yes, exactly. Duck, goose.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh man. So, how is it going with the other part of your job other than the coaching? I mean, there's so many levels or layers. You're like an onion.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, seriously. How about the website and the social media and all that? Like, do you have anybody you are delegating that to?
Volunteers.
Yeah. Do you have any that are doing it?
Yeah, so Lauren Barber
Good.
does our social media.
Oh, wow. That
She
woman wears so many
wears
hats.
she wears 30 different hats.
Ha!
Working with USA Rugby, working with PR7s, working with WAT, working with us, working with Seattle. So she she has many talents for sure.
Yeah, no doubt.
And we're coming out with a new website hopefully later this week. So our website went through like a revamp. So that should be released hopefully this week.
Who's doing that work?
Matic. Shout out to Matic. Adam
Yeah.
Pop. Which is great, which is much needed. Technology in the rugby realm is years behind where it needs to be.
That was very politely said.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's all volunteer based, right? So,
right.
It's very challenging. We struggle with it. The club struggle with it, but we we try our best to keep things updated and keep things refreshed and whatnot. And so, we respond a lot to emails and Facebook notifications and Twitter and whatever else.
I'm sure it's a lot at times too, especially as the weekend gets here. I'm wondering how often you guys get overwhelmed with communication.
Yeah, and we kind of rely on the clubs to kind of handle a lot of it. So we notify the clubs, the clubs notify us, hey, here's the kickoff times, locations. We say, perfect, here's your referee. And then we hope that the clubs kind of work internally. A lot of clubs do a very good job nowadays updating their internal communications with kickoff times, locations, kind of that type of stuff. But we really need to expand into the non-rugby network. And that's the benefit of the website, social media. So once we revamp that, then that's really the hope, is that we can bring in new non-rugby people to grow.
Very nice. All right, so where should we find you on social media?
Yeah, so we're on Rugby Washington. I think it's RugbyWA on Instagram and Facebook. And then also you can email me, aaron@rugbywa.org.
Blow him up.
Yep. And our website still has all of our contact information as well if you need more information. But the clubs do a good job on Facebook. So all clubs are on Facebook. If you type in Liberty Rugby or Rainier or Chucknut or Bud Bay, whatever club is kind of in the area, or even just location. Olympia Rugby, it would show up, or Bellingham Rugby or Renton Rugby, wherever you're located.
We'll post it up on the podcast and have it up there with a location to where to go, and we'll put some feed into the post and give everybody a link.
Yep, and a lot of clubs have the upcoming dinner options, fundraisers, and whatnot throughout the month of April, May, and early June. So make sure you pay attention to the Facebook pages.
Yeah, and we'll regurgitate those. We'll share them.
Yep.
Yeah, so I know Liberty has one coming up towards the end of this month. There's a buy for Seattle Seawalls that weekend, so it's a great weekend for us to get the community together and go support other clubs. And I am all about that. We are all about that. Honestly, that is one of the best times that we ever have. Like, instead of going out and spending the money at some local pub or a restaurant or whatever, we go out to the clubs and we have a great time getting to know our community and spend our money with the community.
Yeah, and it's a lot of fun, like you said. There's a lot of good people.
A lot of like-minded people.
For sure.
Successful people. It's great. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's about it, and we're going to call it a night. So, lastly, is there anybody that you would like to plug that has helped you on your rugby way?
Helped me on my rugby way?
Yeah, like to get here, your mentors or somebody that's helped you get through it. Maybe your wife, maybe, I don't know.
I gotta go with my wife. She's there. We dated in college, so she's been around and she knows that the passion I have for the sport. And she's been, with me the whole way and really listens to me.
Vent.
Vent and explain the situations that we're in and kind of helps me process a lot of what we're going through with the growth and the opportunities and where we want to go. And she's awesome. And my 2 kids, and I love them, and I can't say enough positive things about them.
Yeah, heads off. Hats off to her, dude. She's really cool.
She's legit.
Yeah. Nicely done. My throw out would be my wife as well, honestly, especially with all this ailments that I've been going through lately. And then, of course, we've been traveling to, do more rugby and spread the word, the gospel.
Does she carry your wheelchair?
What was that?
Does she carry your wheelchair?
No, I don't even know what that means.
She's awesome.
She is. No, all the queens are good. Thank you for letting me interview. Thank you for exposing yourself and putting yourself out there. And
anytime.
We'll do it again soon.
Anytime.
All right, brother. Thank you.
Yeah.